come by.
What is up, YouTube? This is Nanashi with a brand new deck profile video. This time I'll be going back and showing you the changes and updates to my all-beast type deck. As you can well imagine, this deck's best combo used to be being able to synchro and Xyz summon some basic low-level and low-rank monsters, and obviously the new Link format kind of inhibits that a little bit. But at the same time, a recent Link monster that was released made it so that not only is this combo viable, it's far more powerful than before, and it also enhances some of the other moves that this particular version of the deck can perform. So let's see where this goes. Now, since there are a large number of monsters in this deck, I'm going to start with the low-level ones. First, we have a pair of Key Mouse, a basic 1-level tuner. If it's destroyed by battle and sent to grave, you can add any level 3 or lower beast-type monster from your deck to your hand, and you do have a couple of decent options. We also have one fabled Catsif. The vast majority of this deck is Earth attributes, so the fact that there's a light tuner in here is a little odd, but it is for a specific reason. If it's sent from your hand to the graveyard, you have the ability to target a face-up card and destroy it. And being a level 1 tuner means it gets into a very specific synchro, which I'll get into later. Amazoness Pet Baby Tiger. One of my new favorite cards for this deck because, despite the fact that it's freaking adorable, it actually has a decent effect. When you normal or special summon one of these, and you happen to have another one in your hand or graveyard, you can use its effect to bring itself to the field. I also have one copy of Calentosa. I don't really use it very much anymore because it's so dependent on other cards to do anything with it, I almost never play it. But it does have a good effect. If it's special summoned by the effect of a beast-type monster, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. Its usual component would actually be the Valerathon, who, upon discarding a card from your hand, allows you to special summon a level 2 or lower beast-type monster from your graveyard, either in face-up attack or face-down defense. And now we move into the level 3 and higher monsters. First is a playset of Gallus the Star Beast. If Gallus is in your hand, you can mill the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and if it was a monster, not only can you special summon the Gallus, but you also deal 200 damage times the level of the monster you milled. If it's a spell trap though, both that and Gallus go to the graveyard. We also have a pair of Lockcat. When it's normal summoned, you can special summon one level 1 beast-type monster from your graveyard in defense mode with its effects negated. Triple Chain Dog. Surprisingly enough, this card does not see as much use or play anymore in this particular variant of the deck. If it's in the graveyard and you control exactly 2 beast-type monsters, which is not hard to do, you can special summon it from the graveyard, but if it leaves the field, it's banished. Triple Rescue Cat, a surprising choice and a very, very happy one for me. You contribute it on the field to special summon 2 level 3 or lower monsters from your deck with their effects negated, but they self-destruct at the end of the turn, and you can only use its effect once per turn. A counterpart to it would actually be the Rescue Ferrets. If you have zones on your field that are being pointed at by Link monsters, you can send this card from your field back to the deck and special summon monsters whose total levels equal 6 from your deck to the zones that those arrows point to. I love this card in this deck, but it's so specific I cannot warrant it at 3, at least not in this build where I'm also running Rescue Cat. And we have 3 Egotistical Ape. You can discard a beast-type monster from your hand to special summon this from your hand, and if you do, you have the option to increase or decrease its level by the level of the monster you discarded. Moving into the spell cards, we have a playset of Ayers Rock Sunrise. You can target and special summon a beast-type monster from your graveyard, and then your opponent's monsters all lose 200 attack points for every beast-type monster in your graveyard, as well as Wing Beast and Plants, provided you run any, which I don't. Single Dark Hole. Triple Obedience School. Possibly one of the most integral playmaker cards of this deck. If you control no monsters, you special summon 3 level 2 effect beast-type monsters from your deck, all with different names from each other, in defense mode with their effects negated, and they self-destruct at the end of your turn. This card sets up this entire deck's ability to play. Although if you don't get this card, it's not that you lose, it just means you have to rely on other cards, like the Rescue Cat. And Twin Twisters, because a lot of these cards in this deck do revolve around playing out of the graveyard somewhat. And now we finish up with the trap lineup. Single bottomless trap hole, staple in every deck. 2 Jar of Avarice. Taking 5 cards out of your graveyard, adding them back to your deck, and drawing a single card, except a copy of itself. As you can imagine, with a lot of the cards that I use in this deck, pulling cards from the deck to the field, I burn through my main deck resource very quickly, so this helps to mitigate that a little bit. Also running 1 Solemn Warning. Transmigration Prophecy, which I usually run at least one of it with every pair of Jar of Avarice, adding 2 cards from either player's graveyard back to their deck. Although to be fair, I mostly use this on the jars, but I do use this on certain opponents when I know there's going to be a problem. And 1 Torrential Tribute, replacement for the Dark Hole we lost. Next we move into the side deck, starting with the 3rd Bellerophon, the 3rd Lockcat, the 3rd Rescue Ferret, a single Bring Control, a pair of Emerging Emergency Rescue. It lets you take any 3 Beast-type monsters with 300 attack and 100 defense, which is literally all the rescue monsters, shows them to your opponent picks 1 and puts them into your hand. The rest go back to the deck. I really want to run this in the main deck, but the fact is, because of the fact that it requires me to have fewer life points than my opponent, that doesn't happen very often. It's not because my opponent's usually losing, it's because they almost all run counter traps that require them to pay points, which puts them in the deficit. So the odds of using this are just really low. I also run a pair of MST, compulsory, double Fiendish Chain, triple Horn of the Phantom Beast, a card that used to be a mainstay in the main deck, but I had to move to the side for the sake of consistency. You can equip it to a Beast-type monster, it gives it 800 attack points, and if it happens to destroy something in battle, you get to draw a card. And a Mirror Force. And now we finish up with the extra deck. Starting off, we have a single copy of Fabled Unicorn. If you and your opponent both have the same number of cards in hand, all your opponent's cards and effects are negated. Almost equally annoying is the pair of Naturia Beast. Now, I'm going to say this right now, this card is usually the first play that I go for in any situation that I have this deck in. You can build 2 cards off the top of your deck to negate any spell your opponent plays. This is multiple times in a turn and multiple times in a chain that you can do this. I also run a single copy of Thunder Unicorn, an alternative to Naturia Beast in the event that I need something with a bit more power and a bit less negation. You can retarget an opponent's monster and reduce its attack by 500 for every monster that you control. And now that we have the extra deck monster zone, we have a maximum of 3,000 point reduction. Voltic Bicorn, the big brother to the Thunder Unicorn. If it's destroyed by your opponent's card or battle and sent to the grave, both players mill 7. That actually helps this deck out a lot, where a lot of the plays can be made out of the grave. And the big brother to the Unicorn and Bicorn, Lightning Tricorn. If it's destroyed by your opponent, you can pull back either the Unicorn or the Bicorn from your graveyard. We also have 1 Naturia Leo Drake, not really anything special to say about it, it's a 9-star with 3,000 attack points. It's mainly just my beat stick option, in the event that I'm a little short to get its big brother, Leo, the Keeper of the Sacred Tree. It can't be targeted by an opponent's card effects except during your main phase 2, and is 100 points stronger and 1 star higher than Naturia Leo Drake. Into the Xyz, we have 3 copies of Ronin Raccoon Sandayu. This is the other card that is excessively easy to pull in this deck because of the low-level spam opportunities. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect if you control another Beast-type monster, and once per turn you can detach a material to special summon a token whose attack points become equal to that of the highest attacking monster on the field. I run a pair of Diamond Direwolf now because 3 was starting to get a little clunky in the extra deck, especially when the lower level ones were easier to access. He's still a great card. You can detach a material from him and target a beast, wing beast, or beast warrior you control, and a card your opponent controls and destroy both. And finally, a pair of Mrs. Radiance. Requires 2 earth monsters, gives you the bottom left and bottom right zones. All earth monsters gain 500 attack, all wind monsters lose 400 attack, and if it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add any earth monster in your graveyard back to your hand, which is about 90% of the deck. And that's the deck. I hate to admit it, but a bunch of people have brought this up to me, and it is true. This deck does have the tendency to be a bit of a helmet deck. It only goes into one of 3 extra deck monsters normally, and that's Naturia Beast, Mrs. Radiant, Running Raccoon Sandayu, or some combination of the three, or even all three. If I can, I usually go for them because they are my biggest problem solvers, though. Mrs. Radiant boosts my monsters to the point where they're hard to get over, Naturia Beast negates the problematic spell cards, and Running Raccoon Sandayu goes over anything battle-wise that I can't normally handle. So it's not like this deck is only designed to do it, it's just its best opening move, whether it's your turn or your opponent's. I hope you guys like the deck profile, and if you can think of anything I can do to improve this all-beast deck, feel free to let me know. But in the meantime, this has been Nanashi, signing out.
What's the next stage? What's the next stage?